Hello, warriors, and welcome to week 4. This is Coach Cindy, and I'm excited to share with you today's topic, one of the most fascinating facets of us human beings, that of our minds. There has been amazing breakthroughs in the field of neuroscience of late and the study of the human brain. Yet there is much more that is still undiscovered and unknown. At merely 3 pounds and just under 1.5 kilos in weight, it is about 2% of our total body weight, and yet the brain manages all our bodily functions. Our minds, or the thought processes that we have, our perceptions, our beliefs and memories and imaginations are the activity of our brains. And though our brains can affect our minds in turn and thought processes can rewire how our brains function. This neuroplasticity means we can develop better and healthier brain functions and minds at any age and at any time that we choose. The human brain has over 100 billion neuron cells, and while it is not determined exactly how much information the brain can store, it is estimated to hold petabytes of information. Now, if you are wondering what a petabyte is, it is about 1,000 terabytes. And just to give you an example, let's say if we leave the TV on 24/7, it is like our brain being on 24/7 and recording all the information for 300 years. So we can store that much information, 300 years of information, if we leave it on 24/7. Which bottom line means it's a whole lot, and we are not likely to run out of storage space. How would you like that? Not to run out of space ever. Our human minds are made out of our conscious and subconscious, which includes our unconscious mind. The conscious mind is the analytical logic, and the subconscious mind, on the other hand, is the one that processes our recent memories and is in continuous contact with the resources of the unconscious mind. Now, the unconscious mind is the storehouse of all our memories and past experiences, and including repressed memory that could be because of trauma, or those that we have chosen to forgotten or that no longer are of use to us. So it's still stored in our very deep unconscious subterraneans of our minds. Now, 90% of our decisions, though, in our day-to-day living is made at the subconscious level. The subconscious accesses information from our unconscious mind and acts in response to what our conscious mind tells it. So, anyways, for the purpose of our warrior journey, we are just going to focus on some basic facts. That's just a wealth of information on this topic. So, number 1, our conscious mind is the gatekeeper of the subconscious mind. It is like the captain of the ship and gives orders to the crew, which is the subconscious and unconscious mind that is below deck. And so your conscious mind can direct your focus. It has also the conscious mind has the ability to imagine that which is not real or never experienced before, which is why you can actually use this information and then direct your subconscious mind to act accordingly. Our subconscious mind cannot tell fact from fantasy and acts on the direction or commands that it is given and steers us towards the direction of our given goals, targets, or focus. So let's look at some examples of how our minds can affect our bodies. Tibetan monks, for example, as we all know, have developed the ability through hours and hours of meditation to control their bodily processes such as blood pressure and body temperature. In one study, researchers clothed the monks in wet, cold sheets of about 10 degrees Celsius, which for those in the Fahrenheit system is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and placed them in rooms as cold as 5 degrees Celsius, which is just only a few degrees above freezing point. In such conditions, the average person, I would, be shivering uncontrollably and shortly thereafter suffer hypothermia. However, these monks, through deep concentration, were able to generate body heat. And within minutes, mind you, minutes, the researchers noticed steam rising from the sheets that were covering the monks. And within an hour, the sheets were completely dry. How amazing is that? And then another example is called the placebo effect, that is in medical research conducted by drug companies. they factor in what they call the placebo effect, which is that even though some people were not given the actual medical drug that was being tested, but only a sugar pill, these people sometimes experience a positive effects because they thought that they were taking a drug which is going to help them in their body. And one amusing experiment was that conducted by Princeton University students on the placebo effect. So these students decided to throw a party for their unsuspecting friends, but instead of serving regular beer, they served a non-alcoholic beer called Old Deuce, which is almost impossible to get drunk on. However, they watched as their friends acted silly, slurred their words, and slept on the ground, acting as if they were drunk. So these students had such a strong belief that they were actually drinking alcoholic beer that they behaved accordingly. But they were not. They were not drinking alcoholic beer at all. On the flip side, there is what is called the nocebo effect or the witch doctor effect, which produces negative results such as cancer patients vomiting violently before chemotherapy has even started, or someone breaking out in a rash because they thought they had touched poison ivy when what it was that they touched was only an ordinary plant. Now, one of the most talked about incident of the nocebo effect was published in the New Scientist magazine. It was of an Alabama man in the US. Let's call him Vance. And Vance had met a witch doctor in a cemetery, and the witch doctor had told him that he was going to die very soon. So in a matter of weeks, Vance developed some symptoms and became very sick and was close to death. His wife took him to the hospital, but the doctors could find nothing medically wrong with him. Finally, his wife told the doctor about her husband's encounter with the witch doctor. The next day, the doctor came up with a very creative idea, so he decided to tell Vance that he had tracked down the witch doctor and threatened the witch doctor until the witch doctor admitted that he had put a lizard inside Vance that was eating him on the inside. So this hospital doctor, was so creative that he even snuck a real lizard and pretended to extract it from Vance. He was so convincing that the next day, Vance woke up alert and hungry, ready to eat again. And it didn't take him long before he fully recovered. Now, these two examples alone show how we can use our conscious mind and how our thought processes can actually affect how our body feels, whether for positive or negative, which is why this week our animal guides are the twin armadillos, MIMA and LIMA. MIMA, which is from the two words mind mastery, the first two letters of the two words mind mastery, and LIMA, life mastery. When you master your mind, you master your life. That's what MIMA and LIMA teaches us. Why armadillos? Well, armadillos can allow air into themselves and float above water, or they can allow the air out and allow the weight of their body to sink them to the bottom of the water. They can also roll themselves into a perfect ball and protect themselves from being attacked by the enemy. So they can choose to allow air in or let air out. Like the armadillos, MIMA and LIMA, you can consciously choose what thoughts you will allow in and what thoughts you are going to filter out of your conscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind cannot tell fact from fantasy. It is servant to the conscious mind, obeys its every command. So you can tell your body that the so-called pain, for example, you're experiencing is actually a good thing, contrary to common thoughts. And in fact, it is a great thing because it's your body tearing down the old and building up a better and stronger version of you. You can imagine the pain being good and imagine yourself feeling little or no discomfort. Whatever you can imagine, bottom line, you can achieve. I'd like to share a personal example in my life. At a time in my life when I was feeling extreme challenges, I started having frequent nightmares. It was the same nightmare night after night for over 1 to 2 weeks. And in the nightmare, I was driving my car on the edge of a very high cliff. And mind you, I was terrified of heights. And I had my 3 preschool children with me in the car. I skidded and drove off the cliff, plunging and falling hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air down to the deep sea below. Now, for those of you who are terrified of heights, as I was, I just felt sick to my stomach. It's as if my stomach was like right in the air and my heart was sinking. And guess what? As a child, I nearly drowned. So this was one of the most terrifying and traumatic feelings for me. My car, in my nightmare, I had plunged my car head down into the water, and it was quickly filling up with water, and I was nearly out of breath. I could hardly breathe. I was stuck in my seat, held by my seatbelt, unable to loosen myself, and I could not free myself and my children. I was so terrified I woke up screaming, shaking uncontrollably. After nights and nights of this repeated nightmare, I decided one night, once and for all, enough is enough. This is not true. This is not fact. It is only my subconscious mind and unconscious mind giving me a message. So I took a deep breath. I allowed all my emotions to process, and once they subsided, I decided to consciously go back into my dream, but this time to reprogram my dream, to reprogram my mind. So I imagined that instead of driving on the edge of a very high cliff, I was driving on a flat ground, a very wide and safe road, and I was beside a peaceful, bubbling brook, a small stream. And my children and I were laughing and enjoying the beautiful sounds of nature and watching the beautiful trees and the leaves of the trees swing in the calm breeze that blew. And we drove and enjoyed the journey and drove safely all the way home. Now, I was amazed at the result. I only did that once, and I never ever had that nightmare again. So my warrior friends, I know it works. We can reprogram our thoughts. We can consciously reprogram our perceptions and our negative belief patterns and replace them with positive ones. We can get rid of the thought patterns that no longer serve us. Thank them for the messages that they are meant to give you in your life. Replace them with positive ones. And like our armadillo friends, MIMA and LIMA, we can master our minds and master our lives. So, my warrior friends, power on. You are master of your mind, captain of your ship, captain of your soul and your destiny. And as always, we, your warrior family, is with you all the way. And remember, as you complete week 4, you are already a third of the way to success. So, catch you next week.